if anyone can speak with painful knowledge of moments like this, Martin, it's Martin Cox, brother of Sean Cox. But Martin, we talk about these ultras. Oh, the ultras are in town. The ultras. Who are the ultras? I mean, has this ultras tag become too idolised in football? Has it become almost a badge of honour that emboldens individuals to go and say, we are the ultras?
It seems like it. They're no more than thugs. And just listening to Martin Cox talking about his brother going to a game, you know, all the joy that was going to bring, and then suddenly his life's been turned around. And the authorities have got to do. Okay, it's an Italian situation here. It's all around Europe. We hope we don't see too much of it here. We try to eradicate it since it's become All-Sita. That's disappeared. We don't want to see that return. And now the game, we're introducing it back to the fans. We need to make sure that this is something that we stamp down on. And what we saw in the summer in our own Euros final at Wembley, where we almost had a situation where there was nobody, the fans, it was anarchy in the stadium on that night. We shouldn't shy away from that. So we've all got to do better to control our game, but we don't want these ultras anywhere near a football ground.
I mean, ultras, Martin's spot on, in my view, Simon. Who are these characters? Go to a lovely part of England, like Leicester, last night, and starts taking off their belts and swinging them at anyone who comes their way, swinging them at them. Anyone who comes in their direction.
It's a section of supporters.
Who are these people?
It's also interesting that we have spent many years self-flagellating about football hooliganism, and I'm quite happy to have the moniker put upon us that it's the English disease. And I have for a long time said that football hooliganism isn't unique to this country, and the self-flagellation that we seem to have accepted with the UEFA years ago, branding it the English disease, when it is no more the English disease than it is any disease of any particular country. The ultras mean different things to different clubs. Ostensibly, they are a very powerful and, in some football clubs, very influential force of supporters that have a lot of say, a lot of influence, some of it very divisive, some of it very supportive. In this instance, under the moniker of ultras, what you've got is a bunch of hooligans that will tarnish the overall image of ultras. By the very nature of ultras in Italian football, we look at Italian football, it's got a lot of challenges. There's a lot of issues with Italian football. We talk about racism in football in this country. Go and have a look over there and see what racism on a higher level really looks like. Any racism is wrong. I'm not suggesting it's not, but I'm talking about the nature of how we look at ourselves in this country, and then we look at other people and what's really going on in the world that's outrageous, and perhaps should be more comfortable with some of the things that we're trying to achieve in this country. But there's always a balance in my mind, Jim, between highlighting these people and giving it an audience and not highlighting them and condemning them. Because I'm always of the mindset, if you don't shine a light on these people, then you don't give them any credence. And I do also, of course, understand the other side of the argument is when people behave in this fashion, then you have to call it out.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a balance to be struck between ignoring this ridiculous behaviour and marginalising it and giving them no attention whatsoever. Only one thing worse than people talking about you is people not talking about you in life. And, of course, the consequence of behaviour. Now, the situation at Wembley was a bunch of opportunists taking advantage of a situation that was badly handled by the authorities, that had no planning for an event that was on a national level, a huge event, which was a one-off situation that I very much doubt you'd see ever happen again. But these sort of issues with ultras in and around Italian football is not an infrequent event.
No.
It does occur quite regularly.
You can hear it in Martin Cox's voice.
Yeah.
It brought it all back to him, as you rightly said there, Martin. It brought it all back to him this morning. You cannot have these individuals calling themselves ultras. Big wow. Who are they? What does the word ultra mean?
The challenge is...
Are we all meant to stand there in
proper
fear of
fans,
ourselves?
you need to be safe in the knowledge you can go to a game, can't you?
Yeah.
And you're not going to be... Your life's not in danger.
You're standing there with your son and they come out of a bus and start opening up
and
with
I think
belts.
actually they were attacks on people, indiscriminate attacks on people in Leicester town centre as well, through the day. So, you know, it's a major issue, and the clubs have got to police that as well. You know, Napoli need to look from within, and obviously the Italian authorities, they should know who these people who are travelling, and internationally they need to stop this.
Consequence them. I mean, we've had consequences. We've had to deal with the allegations, observations and correct repudiation of our position in Europe. If the Italian sides are bringing this sort of behaviour with them, then they have to be consequenced. We got consequenced.
So how do you consequence them?
Well, you ban them.
Ultras cannot travel.
No away fans. If that's what they bring,
yeah.
No away fans.
Yeah.
That's the end of the discussion, isn't it?
And what about the word ultras? How do you consequence that?
That's a cultural thing. Depends what you take it to mean. If you take it to mean that they're ultra passionate, you can't have sport.
Well, they'll say they're ultra passionate, but Martin's right. They're hooligans.
But you can't suggest that all of them are. You have to look at the reality of saying, right, okay.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Call yourself something else.
Well, why should they?
Why shouldn't they?
Well, okay, well, why should they?
They're going under the guise of ultras.
But you're saying that ultras in all its guises means extremely bad behaviour.
So how do we get rid of them?
Well, how do you get rid of them? You consequence these people, the people whose clubs they represent and whose colours they travel under, have to deal with their own fan base. We can't deal with their fan base. They have to deal with their fan base. We can just remove them from the equation, can't we?
Does the individual clubs ban those fans?
Yeah.
They'll see the footage, shame them, take them out.
Yeah.
They'll have to follow someone else because they won't accept that behaviour.
They're idolised, Martin, and they idolise each other. That's a pitiful, pathetic aspect of it all.
But it's no different to what we've listened to in English football, whether it's the ICF at West Ham or all these little gangs that get themselves a glorified set of importance that are waxing lyrical about one another, but they're a very limited part of fan bases. If you look at Napoli as a club, and Napoli is a very challenging area. A lot of my friends come from that part of the world, and it's an area that obviously Diego Maradona went into. There's a lot of organised crime. It's a very different societal scenario than the ones that we have in this country. But you cannot, listen, under no circumstances are we seeking to excuse it. If you don't want it, it's very simple. Napoli can't bring their away fans. Then they can have what they deal with. Whatever they do in Italy is up to them.
Yeah.
What happens on our shores becomes up to us.
Okay, but the word ultras, though, this is the word this morning. What do we need to do about this word? Because it's become a badge of honour. These so-called ultras have come to be idolised when, more often than not, they're just a bunch of thugs. So how do we get rid of them? And what actually happened at Leicester last night? Were you involved in any of it? Did you see any of it? Give us a shout if you want. 08717 223344 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning 10 till 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.